Hello guys, today we are going to the movie review. Movie name is The, the Boy in the Striped Pajamas 2008 full movie. The Boy in the Striped Pajamas 2008 is a poignant and emotionally charged film based on the novels by Jones Boy, directed by Mark Herman. The movie explored the devastating effect of the Holocaust through the innocent perspective of an 8-year-old boy. The story centers on Bruno, a young German boy whose father is a Nazi officer. Bruno's world changed dramatically when his family moves to a house near a concentration camp. Serious and naive Bruno befriends Humus, a Jewish boy imprisoned on the other side of the fence. Warning: stupid volumes. Films powerfully depicts their unlikely friendship and the tragic innocence of childhood amid the horror of war. Performance by Asa Butterfield and Jack Scanlon are notably compelling, capturing the innocence and curiosity of children's caught in unimaginable circumstances. The film's cinematography and scores complement its somber tone, emphasizing themes of innocence, ignorance, and the devastating impact of prejudice. While some critics have noted that the film takes certain liabilities with historical accuracy and simplifies complex events, it remains a movie and thought-provoking portrayals of the human cost of hatred and into its emotional depth and moral questions make it a powerful watch, especially for those interested in history and human rights. Overall, The Boy in the Striped Pajamas is a haunting film that challenges viewers to reflect on the atrocities of the Holocaust through the eyes of children, leaving lasting impressions about the importance of empathy and the dangers of prejudice. The Boy in the Stupid Person 2004 movie. The movie in the Stupid Person in a heartbreaking drama that explores one of history's darkest chapters, the Holocaust, through the innocent eyes of a young boy, directed by Mark Herman and based on the novel by John Byrne. The film is a poignant and thought-provoking story about innocence, friendship, and the tragic consequences of prejudice. Plot summary: the story is set during World War II and follows Bruno and I, 18-year-old German boy whose father Ralph is a high-ranking Navy officer. Bruno is a curious and adventurous child, but this life changes dramatically when his family moves from brilliance to a house near Constantine's camp with Bruno entirely previous as a strange, unfamiliar species due to his father's military assignment. Bruno is uprooted from his family life and finds himself isolated and and bored in the new environment. On exploring the area, Bruno encounters Schummels, a young Jewish boy who is imprisoned on the other side of the campus. Schummels wears the iconic striped pajamas, which gives the film its little title despite the barriers of the fans and their vastly different circumstances. The boy developed a secret friendship grounded in innocence, curiosity, and a desire for companionship. Bruno is unaware of the true nature of the camp and the horror occurring within, believing only that Symbols is a boy of same age living nearby. As the story unfolds, Bruno's innocence clashed with the brutal reality of the Holocaust. His naivety leads him to misunderstand the purpose of the camps and the suffering of the prisoners. Manually, family involvement in the Nazi becomes become more appreciated, culminating in tragic consequences that underscore the destructive nature of hatred and fear. Serious performance and characters. The film's performances are the significant strength as a group. Butterfield portrayals of Bruno capture the innocence, curiosity, and vulnerability of a young boy caught his circumstance beyond his understanding. His wide eyes, innocence make the tragic ending even more devastating. Jack's Scanlon's portrayals of humans is subtle yet powerful, embodying the suffering and resilience of a child is in such harrowing circumstances. The supporting cast, including David Devils as Bruno's father, Ralph, and Vera Farmiga, of his Christmas bond, his understanding, his wide-eyed innocence make the tragic ending even more devastating. Jack's Scanlon's portrayal of Schumacher is subtle yet powerful, embodying the suffering and resilience of a child in such harrowing circumstances. The supporting cast include David Thewlis as Bruno's father Ralph and Vera Farmiga as his mother Elsa, add depth to the narrative, portraying characters caught in the moral complexity of their roles. Ralph's character exemplifies the conflicted soldier who is loyal to his country but begins to question the morality of his actions. Themes and message. I tell you guys, themes and message. One of the central themes of the film is the loss of innocence. Bruno and Schummel's friendship symbolize the nature's human desire of connection free from prejudice and hatred. The films explore how innocence is corrupted by hatred, propaganda, and dehumanizations, illustrating how even children can be affected by the ideologies of their elders. Another key theme is the dangers of innocence and the importance of empathy. Bruno's perception of the camp and his friendship with Shmuels expose the tragic conjugation of turning a blind eye to injustice, the film emphasizing the need for awareness, understanding, and compassion in confronting prejudices and intolerance. The movie also critically examines the moral ambiguity of the adult characters, especially Bruno's father's, whose blindly loyalty to the Nazi regimes ultimately leads to tragedy. It raises questions about authority, obedience, and moral responsibility, prompting viewers to reflect on the conjugations of complexity in the face of evil. Cinematography and directions. Mark Harmon's direction effectively captured the emotional gravity of the story. The cinematography employs muted color palettes that reflect the blackness and despair of the setting while also contrasting the innocence of childhood. The use of wide shots emphasizing the physical and emotional distance between the boys, yet also highlight their shared humanity. The film's pacing is deliberate, allowing viewers to absorb the emotional weight of each scans. The quiet contemplative moments underscore the tragic irony of Bruno's innocence and the looming tragedy that unfolds. Historical accuracy and criticism. While the film is praised for its emotional impact and moral insight, some critics have pointed out that it simplifies certain historical facts. The portrayals of the camp and the event leading up to the climax are consent of our narrative purpose. We may gloss over some complexities of the Holocaust. Critical also note that the ending, while powerful, is somewhat contrived and emotionally manipulative. As with this criticism, the film succeeds in delivering a visceral, emotional experience that prompts reflection one of the one of history's greatest atrocities. Its focus on children's perspective offers a unique and impactful lens thought with to understand the human cost of hatred, emotional impact, and legacy. The ending of the boy in the stupid pajamas in a notoriously heartbreaking and leaves a lasting impression without giving away spoilers. It underscores the devastating consequences of pre- prejudice and innocence lost in the machinery of war. The film's emotional potency has resonated with audience worldwide, making it a poignant reminder of the importance of tolerance and human rights. The movie has been used in educational settings to provoke discussions about the Holocaust and the importance of remembering history. It serves as a powerful tool for restoring empathy and understanding across generations. Conclusion. In summary, the boy in the street was a beautiful, crafted, emotionally resonant film that tackles some complex themes of innocence, friendship, and morality within the context of the Holocaust. Will it take some liberties with historical accuracy? Its core message about the destructive power of hatred and the importance of compassion remains profoundly relevant. The film's performance, directions, and storytelling make it a complex was albeit a difficult one due to its intense subject matter. It challenges viewers to reflect on the dangers of prejudice and the importance of standing against injustice, making it thought-provoking and unforgettable cinematic experience. So guys, you continue with me. I tell you this other information. So continue with the boy in the stupid possums 2008 in depth movie review. The movie in the stupid possums in is a deeply emotional and haunting film that confirms one of the darkest chapters in human history. The Holocaust taught the innocence and unfiltered perspective of a young boy, directed by Mark Hermans and adapted from John Byrne's Wrestling novel. The films stand as a powerful reminder of the destructive nature of hatred, prejudice, and moral blindness. Its emotional depth-layered storytelling and profound themes have cemented its place as a significant cinematic works that continue to provoke reflection and discussions, not analysis and narrative structure. The film begins with the portrayal of Bruno, an 8-year-old boy living in Berlin during World War II. His father, Ralph, is a high-ranking Nazi officer, and his mother, Elsa, is depreciated as a dutiful wife in the obligations of her husband's career. The family's life takes a drastic turn when Ralph is assigned to a new post at a concentration camp, prompting the family to move into a house near the camp's perimeters. Bruno's intelligence, innocence, and naivety are central of the narrative. He perceives the new environment as dull and unfamiliar, and his curiosity leads him to explore beyond the confines, confines of his home. During his exploration, Bruno encounters symbols a young Jewish boy of similar age who is imprisoned behind the camp's fence. Despite the barbed wire and the difference in their circumstances, the boys develop a friendship based solely on their shared innocence and curiosity. The stranger cloth and the stranger food that symbols and other prisoners wear and eat is innocent cushion grandly reveals his lack of understanding about the true purpose of the camp and suffering of the priest's Manuel. Bruno's family remains oblivious of in Daniels about the full extent of the atrocities happening around them, embodying the moral blindness and complicity that characterized many during that period. The climax of the film is tragic and powerful, culminating in a heartbreaking ending that underscores the devastating consequences of prejudice and moral indifference without revealing spoilers. The climax leaves viewers contemplating the profound innocence cost amidst the horror of war, performance, and characters' portrayals. The film's emotional impact hangs significantly on the performance of its cast as a Butterfield. The portrayal of Bruno is nuanced and complex. He captures the innocence, curiosity, and vulnerability of a young boy who is unwitting thought is the world of cruelty. Butterfield's expensive face and subtle acting convey Bruno's innocence and confusion, making his character's tragic face all the more poignant. Jack Scanlon's portrayal of symbols is quality powerful. The actress embodies resilience and vulnerability, portraying a boy who has endured unimaginable suffering yet remains hopeful and yearning for friendship and normalcy. Their interactions are tender and genius, making the audience emotionally invested in their relationship. David Devlin uh, and Vera providing strong supporting performance as Bruno's parent. Samuel's Ralph is a complex character and officer loyal to his duty and country, yet struggling with moral conflicts and the realizations of the horrors he is part of. Farming as Elsa is portrayed as a woman caught between her love for her family and her moral instincts, illustrating the internal conflict faced by many during wartimes. Thematic depth and moral questions, innocence and childhood. The central themes of innocence is explored. Burto and Samuels is friendship. Their innocence starkly contrasts with the brutal reality of the Holocaust, reflecting how children are often caught in the crossfire of adult conflict and ideologies. The film raises questions about how innocence is corrupted by social evil and propaganda. Responsibility of individual within oppression segment Bruno's family, especially the adult, exemplify verifying degrees of moral blindness, complexity, and internal conflict. The narrative challenges viewers to reflect on their own ethical responsibility in the face of injustice, historical reflection and education. Will the film simplify some aspect of historical accuracy for storytelling purpose? It serves as an accessible entry point for decisions about the Holocaust. It emphasizing the importance of remembrance, education, and understanding history of prevent future atrocities. Cinematics element, direction, and cinematography and score. Mark Herman's direction effectively captured the emotional weight of the story. The film employed a subtle color palette, muted browns, grays, and blue that reflect the blackness and despair of the setting. The cinematography used wide shot to emphasize the physical and emotional distance between Bruno and Sumble. Yet also employs close-ups to evoke intimacy and emotional connections. The pacing is deliberate, allowing viewers to fully absolute emotional and more complexity, which scans the quiet contemplative moment serve to deepen the emotional resonance, making the eventual tragic even more impactful. The film score is subtle but reflective, underscoring the mood and heightening the emotional stakes without overwhelming the narrative. The use of silence and natural sound enhance the sense of realism and embraces historical accuracy and artistic liberties. Will the boy in stripped pajamas is praised or its emotional impact. Critics have pointed out that it takes certain liberties with historical accuracy for intense. The ending, will powerful, is seen by some as overly controlled and emotionally manipulative, designed to evoke maximum emotional response rather than strictly tailored to historical event. The, the depreciations of the camps and the timelines comparison simplifies some of the complexity of the Holocaust. However, this artistic choice serves the story's moral and emotional core, emphasizing the themes of innocence, loss, and the tragic conjugation of prejudice, emotional and cultural impact. The film's ending is notoriously upsetting and has left many viewers emotionally devastated. It serves as a stark reminder of how innocence can be stirred by the machinery of hatred and war. Many audiences have reported feeling a profound sense of regret and reflection after watching. The boy in the stripped pajamas has become a significant cultural work often used in educational setting to promote discussions about Holocaust morality and human rights. Its powerful storytelling and emotional depth make it a compelling tool for fostering community and understanding across generations. Critical reception and legacy. The film received mixed reviews from critics, some praising its emotional power and moral message, while others critiquing its historical simplifications and narrative choice nonetheless. It resonates deeply with audience worldwide, becoming a poignant reminder of the horrors of the Holocaust and the importance of tolerance. It's a legacy enduring as a film that challenges viewers to confront uncomfortable truth and reflect on the importance of standing against hatred and injustice. It remains a conflict or difficult cinematic experience that leaves a lasting impression. In-depth comparisons review of The Boy in the Stupid Pajamas 2008. The Boy in the Stupid Pajamas is a haunting, emotionally charged film that tackles one of the most devastating periods in human history, the Holocaust, or the innocent, unfiltered perspective of a young boy, directed by Mark Herman and adapted from John Boyne's acclaimed novels. The film is a poignant exploration of innocence, cost, moral blindness, and the destructive power of prejudice. Its narrative, performance, and thematic depth make it significant cinematic work that continue to evoke discussions, reflection, and emotional reaction from the audience worldwide. Details, plots, synopsis, and narrative development. The story opens in 1942. Bill were 8 years old. Bruno lives an privileged life with his family. His father is a high-ranking Navy officer, and his mother Elsa is depreciated as a loving but somewhat complacent woman. The family's idyllic life is disturbed when Ralph receives a promotion that requires the family to relocate to a remote, isolated house near a concentration camp, which Bruno entirely perceives as a strange, unfamiliar place. Bruno's innocence and curiosity are central of the story. His intentional reactions to the environment are of boredom and confusions, and struggles to understand the reasons behind their move. Driven by curiosity, Bruno explores the surrounding area and eventually stumbles upon the camp's premises, where he meets Symbols, a young Jewish boy of the same age who is imposed behind a barber wall despite the space that separates them. Bruno's and Symbols developed a secret friendship founded on their shared loneliness and desire for competency. Bruno perceives Symbols as a boy living nearby, unaware of the true nature of the camp and the atrocities occurring within it. Their interactions are innocent and genius, emphasizing the the universal human desire for friendship and understanding beyond societal divisions. As the narrative unfolds, Bruno's naivety becomes increasingly apparent. His questions the strange clothes that Samuels and other prisoners wear and the strange food they eat, but remains oblivious to the reality of the Holocaust, mass murder, suffering, and systematic dehumanizations of millions of innocent people. Bruno's innocence and the ignorance of his family symbolize the moral blindness that allowed such atrocities to Oscar. The story reached a tragic climax when Bruno is misguided attempt to help Samuel find the missing father sneak into the camp dressed in stripped bottoms. The final scans are heart-wrenching, culminating in a devastating ending that highlights the profound loss of innocence and the tragic conjugation of prejudice and hatred. The film's conclusions leaves viewers the devastating impact of moral blindness and the importance of empathy and awareness. Stellar performance and characters portrayals. The performance in The Boy in the Stupid Poems are crucial to its emotional impact as Butterfield as portrayals of Brunos is masterful. He effectively captures the innocence, curiosity, and vulnerability of a young boy who is tragically naive about the world around him. Butterfield expansive space and subtle acting above empty, making Bruno's innocence and ultimate tragedy profoundly affecting. Zack Scanlon as Symbols delivers a quiet yet powerful performance that embodies realizations and hope amidst suffering. His portrayals of a boy who has endured an unimagined atrocities yet still longs for friendship and normalcy resonates deeply with viewers. The supporting cast Father Erasing the film David Carolis as Ralph No's father embodies the moral conflict of a man turns between duty and conscience. His character's internal struggles reflect moral dilemmas faced by many individuals involved in a conflict with the Nazi regimes where Framinga else is depicted as a woman who is morally conflicted. Her love for her family clashed with her injustice for what is right, illustrating the moral complexity faced by many during war times. The interactions and chemistry among these characters add layers of complexity, making the narrative not just a story about innocence and tragedy, but also a reflection on humans' morality, responsibility, and the captive for both good and evil. Deep dive into themes and moral questions, innocence and childhood at its core. The films explore how innocence can be corrupted by social evil. The friendship between Bruno and Samuel reflect the pure, impure justice nature of childhood. Their bond emphasize that prejudice is a learned not in and that children are inherently capable of empathy and kindness. The tragic loss of his innocence underscored the devastating impact of hate and Nazi ideology, prejudice, dehumanization, and propaganda. The films vividly illustrates how propaganda and social conditioning turns individuals into faceless, dehumanized objects of hatred. Prisoners are reduced to numbers and war stripped poems symbolizing their loss of identity and humanity. The campaigns become a powerful metaphor for divisions, both physical and moral, created by hatred which spreads not only people but entire moral universes. Moral responsibility and bystander effect. The films prompts viewers to reflect on the moral responsibility of the powers and the who remain silent. Brown family, especially the adults, exemplify verifying degrees of moral blindness and complicity. Rob unwarning loyalty to the Nazi regime's brand and him to the suffering around him. Will Elsa internal conflict highlights the moral ambiguity faced by many. The film challenges audience to consider their own role as bystander or active assister in the face of injustice. The power of ignorance and willful blindness. The films demonstrates how ignorance and denial enable atrocity to continue. Bruno's innocence is both a virtue and a tragic flaw. His lack of awareness leads to the film's heartbreaking climax. The films emphasize the importance of education, awareness, and critical thinking to combat prejudice and hatred. Historical reflection and lessons for today. Will the film sacrifice some historical complexities for narrative clarity? It serves as a vital reminder of the importance of remembering historical lessons. The Holocaust was scientific genocides that result from unchecked hatred, propaganda, and moral empty. The films underscore the necessity of tolerance, empathy, and vigilance to prevent such horror from recurring. Visual and cinematic technique. Mark Herman's directions employs a subdued color palette, muted browns, grays, and bulls that reflect blackness and despair of the setting. The cinematography used wide shot to show the physical separation between Bruno's and some symbols emphasizing the emotional and moral divided with close-ups evoke intimacy and emotional vulnerability. The film's pacing is miscentred, allowing viewers to absorb the emotional and moral weight of each scene's quiet moments of reflection and dialogues deepen the narrative emotional resonance. The use of natural sound and minimal score enhance realism, embracing viewers in the bleak, oppressive atmosphere of the camp. The ending employs stark visuals and emotional contrast, heightening the impact of the tragic climax. This cinematic source reinforce the film's themes of innocence, loss, and the devastating consequences of hatred, physical contact, and artistic libraries. While the boy in the stripped poems in praised for its emotional power, some critics have pointed out what it takes artistic libraries with historical accuracy. The timelines is condensed and certain events are simplified or dramatized for storytelling's purpose. The ending in particular has been criticized for being emotionally manipulative and somewhat contrived, aimed at evoking a strong emotional response rather than strictly adhering to historical fact. The depiction of the camp's operations and the timelines of events are not entirely accurate, but this choice serves the film's moral and emotional score. The focus remains on the themes of innocence, morality, and the tragic consequences of prejudice rather than providing a documentary style reconnecting of history. I tell you this emotional and cultural impact. The film's ending is infamous for its emotional intensity, leaving many viewers devastated and reflective. Its raw portrayals of innocence shattered by cruelty prompts viewers to confront unforgettable truth about human nature and history. Many audiences have described feeling a profound sense of grief, regret, and moral introspections after watching Boy in the Stripped Pajamas has become a cultural touchstone. He discusses about the Holocaust, genocides, and moral responsibility. It's frequently used in educational settings to facilitate conversations about history, empty, and importance of remembrance. Its emotional power makes it an effective tool for fostering understanding and comparison across generations. Legacy and ongoing relevance. Despite mixed critical review regarding some narrative choice, the film's emotional and moral message resonated deeply with the audience. It served as a stark reminder of how easily prejudice and hatred can lead to unimaginable suffering. Its legacy endures as poignant cinematic work that emphasizing the importance of vigilance, education, and moral integrity in today's context. The boy in the stripped versions remains relevant as a cautionary tale against intolerance, discrimination, and moral complexity. It encourages viewers to reflect on their own values and action and to stand against injustice whenever they encounter it. Final reflection. The boy in the stripped poems is deeply emotional, morally complex, and visually compelling with the confronts viewers with the profound tragedy of the Holocaust or the innocent eye of a child. Its performance, directions, and thematic depth make it a powerful piece of cinema that continues to evoke strong emotional reaction and moral reflections where it takes certain artistic liberty. Its core message about innocence, prejudice, and moral responsibility are timeless and universally relevant. This film challenged us to confront our own moral responsibility and to remember the lesson of history so that such horror are never repeated. It is cinematic experience that leaves a lasting impact, urging us to reflect on the importance of compassion, empathy, and standing against hatred in all its forms. Okay, guys. Complete and exhaustive analysis to the boy in the stripped exams 2008. The boy in the stripped exams is a profound, emotionally intense film that confirmed one of the most harrowing episodes of human history. The Holocaust through the innocent eye of a young boy, directed by Mark Herman and based on John Boyne's best-selling novel. The film's masterful explores themes of innocence, morality, prejudice, and the devastating consequences of hate. Its powerful storytelling, compelling performance, and thought-provoking themes have cemented its Palace as a significant work of cinematic art that continue to evoke strong emotional response and moral reflection across generations. In depth, plot summary, and narrative arcs. The films opened in 1942 Berlin amidst the chaos of World War II. Bruno, an 80-year-old boy, is devastated, enjoying a pre-legal childhood, oblivious to the horror around him. His father, Ralph, is a high-ranking police officer dedicated to his duty and loyalty to the Nazi regimes. Bruno's mother, Elsa, is portrayed as loving but somewhat passive God. In the moral ambiguities of her environment, the narrative quickly shifts when Ralph receives a new assignment in a remote location. The family is recalled to a house near a concentration camp, which Bruno perceives as an odd and familiar place. The new environment is starkly different from the comfort of their previous life, and Bruno's curiosity leads him to explore his innocent wondering, takes him to the camp's perimeters, fence where the encounters symbols a young Jewish boy of his age, despite the barbed wire fence that physically and morally divides them. The boys develop a clandestine friendship, and based on their shared loneliness and desire for companionship, Bruno's perceived symbols as just other boy living nearby, unaware of the true horror of the Holocaust. Their friendship becomes a symbol of innocence and a universal human desire for connection. Transitions social divided as the story progresses. Naivety grows more apparent. He questions the strange clothes symbol and other prisoners wear and the strangers who they eat. He remains blissfully ignorant of the scales of suffering and death taking place behind the fence. Manuel's his family, moral blindness and complicity are subtly depreciated. His parents' action and attitude reflect the moral blindness that allowed the Holocaust to unfold. The climax of the narrative is devastating and tragic. Bruno, driven by a misguided desire to help Saul find his missing father, into the camp dressed as stripped presents. The final scans are heart-wrenching, ending with tragic and powerful illuminations that underscore the devastating loss of innocence and the horrific conjugation of hatred and prejudice. The film's ending is intentionally ambiguous that emotionally overwhelming, leaving viewers with profound sense of grief and moral reflections. Masterful performance and character dynamics. The film's emotional power is rooted in its performance as Butterfield portrayals of Guru is compelling. His innocence, curiosity, and vulnerability are conveyed with subtlety and depth. Butterfield expressive face announced action about empty and make Bruno's tragic life profoundly upsetting. Scanlon as Samuel delivers a quietly powerful performance. His portrayals embodies resilience, hope, and suffering. His innocence and longing for normalcy shine thought. Despite the atrocities he endures, making their friendship deeply moving. The supporting cast further enhanced the film's emotional and moral complexity. David Timley's portrayal wrought with the layered performance. Its character turns between duty, loyalty, and moral conflict. All the internal struggles reflects the moral dilemmas faced by many during the dark period, whereas Formula Elsa is depicted as a woman's caught between her love for her family and her moral instincts, illustrating the internal conflict faced by many women is in wartime. The interactions among these characters deepen the narrative, illustrating the moral ambiguities and the human cost of the Holocaust. Their dynamics serve as a mirror to the broader societal issue of complicity, denial, and moral responsibility explorations. Exploration of themes and moral questions, innocence and childhood. At its core, the boy in the striped pajamas meditations of innocence, its fragility, purity, and the tragedy of its loss. The friendship between Bruno and Samuel epitomized the inherent goodness and capacity for empathy present in children. Their interactions underscore the idea that prejudice and hatred are learned behaviors, not inherent traits. The films poignantly demonstrating how innocence is corrupted by societal evil and how easily children can be manipulated or blinded by ideology, prejudice, dehumanization, and systemic oppressions. The film vividly depicts how propaganda and social conditioning dehumanize individually. The prisoners are reduced to mere numbers, stripped of their identity and dignity, symbolized visually by their stripped bosoms. The campfires become a powerful metaphor for divisions, both physical and moral, highlighting how hatred and prejudice create insurmountable barriers between human beings, more moral responsibility, and the bystander effect. The boy in the striped pajamas invites viewers to reflect on the moral responsibility of individuals within oppression regimes. Bruno family, especially adults, exemplify varying degrees of moral blindness for some acceptance, some denial, and others struggles with their conscience. Ralph unwarming loyalty blind him to the suffering he facilitates, while Elsa's internal conflict highlights the moral complexity faced by many. The films underscore the dangers of silence and in it challenges viewers to consider their moral stance in the face of injustice, emphasizing that indifference and complexity can be destructive as active perspectives. The power of ignorance and willful blindness. The narrative demonstrates how ignorance, whether thought, internals, denials, or lack of knowledge, enables atheistics. Bruno's innocence is both a virtue and a tragic plus. His lack of awareness leads him to dangers. The film emphasized the lesson from history and contemporary relevance. While the film simplifies some mystical detail for storytelling, it serves as an essential reminder of the importance of remembrance and education. The Holocaust was a systemic genocide driven by hatred, propaganda, and moral empty. The film urges audience to remember this lesson and to remain vigilant against hatred and discrimination today. Ethical and philosophical reflections. The film raises profound philosophical questions about morality, innocence, and the nature of evil. It explores how ordinary individuals become complicit in atrocities and questions whether moral responsibility extends beyond the individuals to society as a whole. It prompts viewers to reflect on the importance of standing up against injustice even when it innocent or dangerous. Cinematic craftsmanship, director, cinematography, and sound. Mark Harmon's direction is deliberate and effective, emphasizing emotional clarity and moral complexity. The visual palette employs muted tones, browns, grays, and blues that evoke despair, hopeless, and the dark blackness of wartime. Wide shots accentuates the physical and moral divide between characters, with close-ups capture emotional vulnerability. The cinematography uses contrasting imagery such as the innocence of children against the backdrop of brutality to heightens emotional impact. The film employs natural lighting and minimalist sound designs, creating a visceral, immersive experience that ground viewers in the story as reality. The score is subtle yet effective, underscoring moments of tension and sorrow without overwhelming. The narrative silence is used effectively to heighten emotional moment, allowing viewers to reflect on the character's experience. Artistic elaborate and historical accuracy. While the films capture the emotional score of the Holocaust, it takes some artistic elaborate timelines is compressed and certain events are dramatized for narrative effect. The ending is particular. It's designed to evoke maximum emotional response but has been criticized for its dramatic impulsivity, thought it served as a powerful allegory. Some critics argue that the film simplifies complex historical realities, focusing more on moral and emotional themes than on precise historical accuracy. Nonetheless, the choice served to communicate the film's core message: the innocence lost, the dangers of prejudice, and the moral imperative of remember. Emotional impact and cultural significance. Ending of the boy in the stripped possums in notoriously devastating. It leaves viewers emotionally shattered, confronting the tragic consequences of moral blindness and hatred. Many describe feeling a profound sense of grief, regret, and moral introspection. The film has become a cultural touchstone, often used in educational settings to foster discussions about the Holocaust, genocide, and moral responsibility. Is emotionally potential make it an effective tool for teaching empathy, tolerance, and the importance of remembrance, legacy, and continued relevance. Despite mixed reviews concurring some narrative choice, the film's core message remains relevant. It serves as a stark reminder to prejudice, hatred, and more moral preference can lead to unimaginable suffering. Its legacy endurance as a powerful cinematic warning against intolerance in the contemporary world where divisional discrimination and hatred persistence serve as stark reminder of how prejudice, hatred, and moral indifference can lead to unimaginable suffering. Its legacy endurance as a powerful cinematic warning against intolerance. It in the world where divisions, discriminations, and hatred persist, the boy in the stripped prisons urges us to remember history lesson. It challenges us to reflect on our own moral responsibility and to stand against injustice wherever we see it. final reflection, enduring moral remembered. The boy in the stripped poems is a deeply emotional, morally complex, and visually compelling film that confronts audience with the tragic conjugation to hatred and prejudice. Its performance, directions, and thematic depth make it profoundly impactful cinematic experience that continue to resonate emotionally and morally with viewers. It compels us to confront uncomfortable truth, to remember the lessons of history, and to unhold the value of compassion, empathy, and justice. The film's enduring power lies in its ability to evoke both sorrow and reflections, urge us to ensure that such horror are never repeated. So, guys, continue with me. I told you other. So, comprehensive as existing analysis of the boy in the stripped presents 2008. The boy in the stripped presents is a profoundly moving, emotionally intense film that confirms one of the most horrifying episodes of human history. The Holocaust through the innocent eyes of a young boy, directed by Mark Harmons and based on John Boyne's best-selling novels. The film masterfully explored themes of innocence, morality, prejudice, and the devastating consequences of hate. Its powerful storytelling, compelling performance, and thought-provoking narrative make it a more impactful and thought-provoking cinematic experience. The film narrative is more complex and layered than initially meets the eye on the surface. It is a story about a young boy named Bruno who moves to Alsace with film his family where his father Kurt has been appointed commandant Bruno's initial fascinations with the enclosed camp and it's a story about a young boy named Bruno who moves the West with his family, where his father Kurt has been appointed commander. Bruno intel fascination with the enclosed camps and its peculiar inhabitants, all class and stripped presents quarterly transitions into a more profound understanding of their plight. His friendship with Samuel, a more experienced and mature boy of Miller's, is served as a catalyst to this growth thought. Samuel's story and expansions, Bruno become more aware of the atrocities being committed within the camp and begins to question to more sinister motives of his father and other authorities. One of the most striking aspects of the film is its portrayal of the more nuanced and complex character that inhabits the world of West from a strong yet more compassionate command to the more hardened and cynical gods. Films humanized even the most seemingly fun demonstrations figures, even the prisoners often reduced to mere statistics in historical accounts are more vividly realized their stories and struggles more deeply felt this more anything approach to characters developments add a more emotional resonance to the filmmaking. The tragic events that unfold are the more heart-wrenching, through more the film's more muted and one of the most striking aspects of the film is not portrayals of the more nuanced and complex characters that inhabit the world of us which from the stern yet more compassionate commandant to the more ardent and cynical scars. The films humanize even the most seemingly one remorselessly figures, even the prisoners often reduced to mere satisfaction in historical accounts are moral vividly realize their stories and struggles more deeply felt this more empathy approach to characters development adds a more emotional resonance to the film, making the tragic events the unfold are the more heart-wrenching. Furthermore, the thank you films more muted and subdued color palette serve as a more poignant reminder of the more desolate and blank atmosphere that pervades the camp. The cinematography is more deliberate and calculated with a focus on capturing the more comprehensive and clustered nature of the camp surrounding this more restrained visual approach also reserve to highlights the more disturbing and unsettling aspect of the narrative, such as the more casual and routine manner in which prisoners are more brutally realistic. It more recent here, has, the film has been subject of more controversy and debate, with some critics excusing its more over simplifying the complexity of the Holocaust. Well, this criticism made by more wide, it is also more unpredictable to view the film as a more personal and emotional response to this more traumatic event rather than a more comprehensive of strictly accurate depreciations. Ultimately, the boy in the stripped peasants is a more powerful and moving film that more effectively captures the more devastating consequences of hate and prejudice throughout its more nuanced and complex characters, more thought-provoking themes, and more emotional resonance. It's served reserved as a more poignant reminder of the more profound and enduring lessons of the Holocaust. So continue with me. I told you comparisons and exhaustive analysis of the boy in the stripped prisms 2008. The boy in the stripped prisms is profoundly moving and emotionally intense film that confronts one of the most harrowing episodes of human history, the Holocaust, through the innocent eyes of a young boy, directed by Mark Harmon and based on John Bowen's best-selling novel. The film masterfully explores themes of innocence, morality, prejudice, and the devastating consequences of hate. Its powerful storytelling, compelling performance, and thought-provoking narratives make it a more impactful and thought-provoking thematic experience. Furthermore, the film delves deeper into the complexity of human nature, revealing more about the inherent goodness and capacity of kindness that exist within all individuals, even in the face of overwhelming will. Through the eyes of Bruno's, a young boy from a privileged background, the film sheds more light on the naivety and innocence of childhood, making it easier for audience to relate to and connect with the characters on a more personal level. Moreover, the film's poignant portrayals of the atrocities combined. Moreover, the film's poignant portrayal of the atrocities committed during the Holocaust serves as a stark reminder to the importance of prompting for kindness that exists within all individuals. Even in the face of overwhelming evil thought, the eyes of Bruno, a young boy from a privileged background, the films shed more light on the naivety and innocence of childhood, making it easier for audience to relate to and connect with the characters on a more personal level. Moreover, the film's poignant portrayal of the atrociated committed during the Holocaust serves as a stark reminder of the importance of Thompson's more understanding, tolerance, and acceptance among peoples of different background and culture. By sharing more stories of the Holocaust, we can learn more about the dangers of prejudice, discriminations, and xenophobia, and work more deliberately toward creating a more compassionate and inclusively world. Additionally, the film's exploration of the themes of innocence versus experience is a more nuanced and thought-provoking aspect of the narrative, highlighting more about the fragility of life and the devastating consequences of war. Thought the relationship between Bruno and Samuel. The film shows more about the powers of friendship and the human spirit even in the most desperate of circumstances. In conclusion, the boy in the striped pajamas is more critically acclaimed film that deserves more attention and recognition for its more nuanced and thought-provoking portrayals of the Holocaust. By exploring more themes and ideas, the film raised questions about the complexity of human nature and the importance of promoting more understanding, tolerance, and acceptance among peoples of different background and cultures. Here is an extended text importing the world more as requested as comparisons and exhaustive analysis of the boy in the stupid pajamas. 2008. The power of innocence in the face of atrocity. The boy in the stupid pajamas in a profoundly moving and emotionally intense film that confirms one of the most horrific episodes of human history of the Holocaust through the innocent eye of a young boy, directed by Mark Herman and based on John Boyne's best-selling novels. The films masterfully explore themes of innocence, morality, prejudice, and the devastating consequences of hatred. Powerful storytelling, compelling performance, and thought-provoking narrative makes it a more impactful, thought-provoking cinematic experience that leaves a lasting impression on viewers. More than just a story of the Holocaust, well, the Holocaust in the backdrop against which the story unfolds, the films more effectively explores the human conditions, delving into the complexity of human nature and the devastating consequences of unchecked hatred. The narrative most skillfully views together the traits of innocence, friendship, to the loss of childhood innocence, creating a more nuanced and thought-provoking portrayals of the human's experience, more on the themes of prejudice and morality. The film's more explicitly explore the themes and prejudice and morality, raising important questions about the nature of right and wrong. The characters of Bruno, a young boy from a privileged background, is more representative of the naivety and innocence that is often lost in the face of prejudice and hatred. Thought his experience the film more effectively conveys the sense confusions and discrimination of many people felt the face of atrocities committed during the Holocaust, more on the performance and directions. Performance in the films are more convincing, the nuanced bringing depth, complexity to the characters. The characters is more effective using more subtle and distinct approach to convey the emotional intensity of the story. The cinematography is more evocative, capturing the bleak and desolate landscape of the concentration camp and the emotional toll of the characters' experience, more on the impact and legacy of the film has had a more lasting impact on audience and is more effectively contributed of the conversations about the Holocaust and its legacy. It has more effectively raised awareness about the importance of tolerance, understanding, and respect for human rights. The film has more effectively inspired new generations of filmmakers and artists to explore the themes of the Holocaust and its impact on human history, more on the film's cultural significance. The film has more effectively become a cultural touchstone, more widely discussed and differentiated popular culture. It has more effectively influenced the way we think about the Holocaust and its impact of human history. The film has more effectively inspired a more nuanced and thought out understanding of the human experience and the importance of empathy in conversations, even more on the film's enduring themes. The film's themes of innocence, morality, and the devastating consequences of hate are more enduring and more relevant today than ever. The films more effectively convey the sense of loss and regret that many people feel in the face of atrocity and tragedy. The film more effectively inspired a more thoughtful and more emphatic understanding of the human's experience and importance of respecting humans' right and dignity, and even more on the film's impact on audience. The film has more effectively touched the heart and mind of audience around the world, inspired more nuanced and more thought out understanding of the human experience. The film has more effectively raised awareness about the importance of tolerance, understanding, and respect for humans. Right, the film has more effectively inspired a new generation of filmmakers and artists to explore the themes of the Holocaust and its impact on human history, and still more on the film's cultural legacy. The film has more effectively become a cultural touchstone, more widely discussed and refreshed it popular culture. It has more effectively influenced the way we think about the Holocaust and its impact on human history. The film has more effectively inspired a more nuanced and thoughtful understanding of the human experience and the importance of empathy and compassion. Finally, more on the film's enduring impact. The film's themes of innocence, morality, and the devastating consequences of hate are more enduring and more relevant today than ever. The film more effectively conveys the sense of loss and regret that many people feel in the face of atrocity, tragedy. The films more effectively inspired a more thoughtful and more competitive understanding of the human's experience and the importance of respecting humans' right and dignity. Okay, guys, a comprehensive and aggressive analysis of The Boy in the Striped presents 2008. The power of innocence in the face of atrocity. The Boy in the Striped presents is a profoundly moving and emotionally intense film that confronts one of the most horrific episodes of human history, the Holocaust, through the innocent eyes of a young boy, directed by Mark Harmons and based on James Bond's best-selling novel. The film masterfully explores themes of innocence, morality, prejudice, and the devastating consequences of hate. Its powerful storytelling, compelling performance, and thought-provoking narrative make it a more gripping and memorable cinematic experience. As the story unfolds, we see the world through the eyes of Bruno von Amsberg, a 9-year-old German boy who is more accustomed to the luxuries of the family's states can he has realistic on for his father's appointed as a commandant at a concert's cube state, the stage for a series of events that will test Bruno's innocence and expose him to the brutality of the human conditions in the midst of his choice preferred a young boy named Jonas, who is more than just a prisoner incarcerated. As he was, his humans being with the family, friends, and dreams of freedom. Their unlikely friendship blooms in the face of unbearable sorrow, and as they said more and more of their stories, we see humanized in each other. The film's portrayals of the Holocaust is more nuanced and thought-provoking than many other depictions. It acknowledges the complexity of human nature, where ordinary people can commit extraordinary and concerning can with its wrongs of breaks and the hunting sound of the angles on depth shows Mughal serves as a stark reminder of the more sinister aspect of humans' behavior, yet even in this midst of such horror there are moments of more humanity, more compassion, and more kindness. As Bruno's and Samuel's navigation this treacherous landscape, they find more way to connect with each other. They share a more powerful and more thought-out-provoking film. The Boy in the Stripped Presents is a more powerful and more thought-out-provoking film than many others, not because it dramatizes the horror of the Holocaust, its tragic details, but because it humanizes the experience by focusing on the more innocence, more vulnerability, and more relatable characters. The films make the more unimaginable attitude to the of the Holocaust more sensible, more relatable, and more personal as we watch this more haunting and more poignant film. We remind of the moral importance questions we should be asking ourselves. What does it mean to be humans? What does it mean to be compassionate? What does it mean to be kind in the face of unfamiliar horror? Can we still find more goodness, more kindness, and more compassion? The answer, of course, is a recording, yet more than just a film. The Boy in the Stripped Pajamas is more than just a film. It is a more powerful, more thought-out-provoking, and more haunting experience that stay with us long after the credits roll. It is more nuanced and more complex exploration of the human conditions. One of the acknowledge the most sinister aspect of humans' behavior, yet also find more goodness, more kindness, and more compassion in the face of unifamilies. Horror story, guys. Find more goodness, more kindness, and more compassion compositions? The answer, of course, is reasoning is more than just a review. This review is more than just a critique of the films. It is more comparisons and more exhaustive analysis of the more profound themes and messages that underlines that narrative. It is a more nuanced and more complex examinations of the human conditions, one that acknowledge the more sinister aspect of humans' behavior yet also finds more goodness, more kindness, and more compassion in the face of unimaginable horror. As we reflect on the more profound themes and messages of this more powerful film, we are reminded of the more important questions we should be asking ourselves. What does it mean to be humans? What does it mean to be compassionate? What does it mean to be kind? The pace of unimaginable horror. Can you still find more goodness, more kindness, and more compassion? The answer, of course, is recommending, yes, more than just recommendations. This review is more than just recommendations, it is more conversations and more exhaustive endorsement of the film's more powerful and more provoking themes and messages. It is a more nuanced and more complex examinations of the human's conditions. One of the knowledge is more sinister aspect of humans' behavior, yet also find more goodness, more kindness, and more compassion in the face of unimaginable horror. As we reflect on the more, okay, guys, we meet you to tomorrow.